It's the spoiler review of Star Wars.
Dum.
Dun-dun. Okay, so we are reporting from the battle stations of Rogue One and Captain X. Since we've recorded this, we're probably going to release this video later than we've actually recorded it. We're recording it on the night, so we are recording it literally 2 minutes after we've just finished our spoiler-free review. In that time, I've changed the background of my laptop to now be the official poster of the Star Wars. I am now in an at t-shirt and my Star Wars leggings. I've gone a little bit Star Wars mental, to be honest now.
And the only thing Star Wars related that's near me is my Star Wars book Allegiance by Timothy Zahn.
You're just not trying.
Well, hey, if any Star Wars fans out there haven't read it, you should, because it contains a plot that's slightly similar to the one in The Force Awakens. And now that it's a spoiler review, I can talk about why that is.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about then?
Well, the character of Finn in this is a stormtrooper who has a change of conscience when he's part of a group of stormtroopers in the First Order in the action sequence at the beginning, massacring a village.
So basically,
he changes his mind. He has a sort of crisis of conscience about it and doesn't shoot anyone when he's ordered to massacre the villagers.
It's brilliant, because his backstory is the Diet Empire, as I'm calling them.
Diet Empire.
Basically, the First Order are kidnapping young children and basically training them to be stormtroopers
From birth.
And Finn actually mentions in my first battle, I didn't shoot.
Yeah.
So that was his first one. So I was kind of thinking a bit like, how long has he been doing this? So I liked that it was addressed and done very subtly, and it wasn't done, hello, exposition, listen to our exposition. It was done very well. And like, I could tell it was him. Like, there's nothing distinguishing about him to start with. And I was just looking at him going, you're Finn. I can tell because you don't look happy. And then he gets like blood smeared on
the bloody hands.
on his mask. Iconic.
But the reason that it goes back to Allegiance is that the plot of that book is all about some stormtroopers who get some orders from the Empire back in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and one of the stormtroopers decides that he can't do it. He can't sort of massacre these villagers that are meant to be working with the Rebel Alliance, so he deliberately misses. And then he convinces some of his squad mates to go on the run with him from the Empire in a nice souped-up ship. So I thought that was an interesting bit of... It was a complete coincidence that I happened to be reading that book, but I was. So there you go.
The geek ether seeped into your brain and marinated the idea.
Maybe seeped into theirs. Who knew? I'm sure it didn't.
By the sound of it, because I've only read, quite begrudgingly, the Revenge of the Sith book at your insistence. Which, to be honest, I think the first two prequels are not very good. I think Revenge of the Sith is better, but it's not good.
I on the other hand think it's good, but
I wouldn't even use the term fair. I would use the term acceptable. But the book actually added a lot. Actually made Count Dooku
really sympathetic.
Really quite interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
And
it does it for a lot of the characters. If you have the chance, read the Revenge of the Sith
do read it. I mean, it's still lumbered with a lot of the silly dialogue from the movie.
But it makes it a lot deeper, and the guy who writes it, Matthew Stover,
he does a lot really with a very, very thin scraping, which is that movie. I've not really read the books, but you were telling me some of the storylines are lifted, not exactly, but sort of lightly lifted and rejigged.
I mean, there's. I mean, I'm sure it's a complete coincidence because they're not gonna. As soon as they as I touched on in the spoiler-free review, as soon as they cancelled the books that had been going since about 1991, and said, all the books and comics that we've done previously that talked about the future of our characters after Return of the Jedi, they're not going to count anymore because we've got these new movies, so we're just going to go with them, and that's fine. But there are some similarities with this plot. Like, there was a series of books that explored what happened if one of Han and Leia's children turned to the dark side. And Adam Driver, coincidentally, sort of looks a lot like how that character was meant to look.
I don't think that was a coincidence.
No. Maybe not.
I don't think it was.
And there are some certain sequences, like when the characters are strapped to that torture rack, and he's torturing them with the Force. that kind of stuff
Kylo Ren. This is Kylo Ren we're talking about.
Kylo Ren.
The guy in the mask with the voice box.
With the voice box and the sword, a.k.a. Ben. And in the books, Luke has a son who is called Ben and had a dalliance with the dark side. So it's sort of interesting. But probably entirely coincidental. But
I don't think so. Sorry. Like,
it might be a bone out to the fans. I don't know.
I think it is.
Yeah.
There was so many little nonsense. There was this brilliant thing where, this is a really small detail, but I looked at it and went, "Oh, Abrams, I'm going to hug you if I ever meet you." So Finn, they've just gone through this whole action sequence. Finn sits down and accidentally turns on the game, the holographic game,
the holotable,
the holotable, and I was just looking at it going, "Oh," it was just yes, this is the fan recognition I want. I don't want it in my face, obvious, which is what the prequels did.
But this is
it needs to be subtler, and they did it so subtly, and it was brilliant. Brilliant.
So
should we, as we're talking in that region, shall we talk about Kylo Ren then?
Yeah. Let's go with Kylo Ren first.
He's kind of introduced, just like Darth Vader, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of the big bad coming out of his ship. There's the exhaust fumes coming from his ship.
Yeah, he follows after stormtroopers have just slaughtered some rebels, almost exactly like Darth Vader did, and he does some impressive stuff, and kills an old rebel guy who won't tell him anything. Shortly before a droid goes on the run. So yeah. Like I said, it's a New Hope mixtape all over again. I'd like to talk about Rey now.
Oh my god!
Because I have some interesting theories about her.
Should we just talk about her character and then we'll go on to the theories?
Okay, so as a character, she's a scavenger.
She is amazing. She's amazing.
She's really, really good. I mean, we said that already in our spoiler review.
She's such a good female character.
She's great fun. She's headstrong. She doesn't take any nonsense.
Yeah.
She doesn't want Finn holding her hand. That's hilarious.
There's this brilliant moment where BB-8 basically has been given a load of plans. Maps that show you where Luke Skywalker is, and the news has gone out around the galaxy that if you see this BB-8 droid, capture it, give it to us. There's a big bounty on it, basically, and these scavengers that Rey knows are trying to steal it from her, and there's these two guys attack her, and Finn just happens to be coming in at this point, and he sees this girl being attacked, doesn't know who she is, but he's a good guy, so he's going to run over and he's going to save her, and then she beats the crap out of these guys, and he kind of stops and goes, "Oh."
So do you want to
talk about your theories?
I'd like to talk about theories. So she's a scavenger on Jakku and on the desert planet that you've seen in the trailers, where everything starts off, and they make sort of fun literal points about her living in sort of the shadows of the original trilogy and that sort of thing. She's living in the belly of an AT-AT.
I loved that. Loved that so much.
And so she's been waiting on that planet a long time for her family.
Since she was a little girl.
And when she touches Luke's lightsaber later on in the film, she gets this Force vision that shows her Luke and shows her Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren, which is
basically. I think that's when they killed all the Jedi.
Yeah.
Because there is a story that Luke was setting up the Jedi. He had this band of people, and one of them, who's Kylo Ren, who was his nephew, turned around and basically wasted everyone. And you see that shot. You see the shot of Luke putting his hand on R2-D2.
Yep.
And I honestly thought that's going to be the only shot of Luke in the whole film.
But I was wrong. In the opening title crawl, it starts out with Luke Skywalker has vanished and everyone's looking for him, and that's the plot.
Yeah.
And you see a vision of her, and you see her being left on the planet, and I think she is the offspring of one of the Jedi, but I don't think it's Luke. I don't
think it's Luke, and
it might be, but I really don't think it is.
I don't think it is. Because there was no recognition at the end.
No, true.
I think there would have been
some recognition from him, maybe. And
I think she's someone's kid, and I think it will be important, whether it's a new character or an old character.
Yeah, because they're talking about maybe tying it into the... There's been talk of sort of tying it into the Rebels TV show, so maybe it might be an offspring of someone from that. Or, I don't know, because I don't know Rebels that well, to be honest, at all. I haven't seen any of it, really. But anyway, so Rey is really, really, really good, but And Finn is excellent. We talked about Finn earlier and how much we were gushing over him, and he is amazing. And as a character, and she's so good. But we didn't really go into Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron in our spoiler-free review, and my God, he's good. He's amazing.
I think he's what if everyone was in a Star Wars movie, he's the character. If you could choose, you'd choose to be him. He's the best pilot in the galaxy. He withstands Sith torture for hours.
Yeah.
And he's basically at the beginning of the film, he's caught. And he's got Kylo Ren, like the big bad,
right in front of him, like mask to face, and he's like, "So who talks first? I mean, do you talk first? Do I talk first? I really don't know what the procedure is." And then Kylo Ren says, something along the lines of, "What have you done, with the map or whatever?" He's like, "I'm sorry, I can't quite hear you, what with all the, apparatus around you there."
And it's just like, everyone wishes they were that guy, that if they were dragged before basically Darth Vader Jr., they would have the balls to say, "You got something on your face, mate. I can't quite understand what you're saying."
And the bit where Finn's doing his escape attempt with Finn, and Finn's like, "Okay, stay calm, be calm." And he's like, "I am calm." He's like, "No, I'm talking to myself."
I think, they're so human, I love it. And yeah, we need more Poe in the next one, and him and BB-8. Oh,
great.
Little BB-8, he's just adorable. There is some brilliant comedy, because Finn, for reasons of the plot, to try and get Rey to basically trust him, or she misunderstands. I think she misunderstands, doesn't she? I'm remembering it wrong. She misunderstands. So when he's talking about BB-8, we've got to get him back to the resistance, that he's got plans. And then she's like, "Well, how do you know?" And she goes, "Oh, are you with the resistance?" Does she ask?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she asks. And he kind of, I think he's a bit swept up and a bit scared of her, really. And he just goes, "Yeah, I'm the resistance. This is what I look. This is what the resistance looks like."
Well, obviously there are others. We don't all look like this.
And it's just so anyway. So then there's this scene where BB-8 is kind of worked out that Finn's not telling the truth, and then Rey's gone down to fix something in the Millennium Falcon. We'll come to the Millennium Falcon in a minute. OMG, and then the BB-8 is like looking at Finn, and he's like, "Okay, I'm not with the resistance. I'm a stormtrooper who abandoned his post, but I need your help, so you need to tell her." And then Finn's head, and then Rey's head pops up, and then BB-8 does this kind of looks at one, looks at the other, looks at one, looks at the other, looks back at Finn, and Finn's like, "Come on,
and he's like,
come on." And then he goes, "Oh, okay." And then Rey's head goes back into the hole. And
Finn puts
him the thumbs up, and then BB-8 little side comes out, and a little thing comes out,
a little cigarette flame,
little flame comes up, and you're like, "Oh, I love you, BB-8."
So
Millennium Falcon.
We can talk about the Millennium Falcon. So the Millennium Falcon.
Oh my God, that is the best introduction of a spaceship ever.
So it's not introduced in the way that you'd expect it to be.
No, not at all.
You expect, given the title clause, as General Organa has sent her most daring pilot, you think Han Solo.
Yeah.
But then it's not Han Solo, it's Poe Dameron. And then you think, "Oh, okay, that's fine." And then when they're trying to escape the TIE fighters, you see the Millennium Falcon, which they describe as junk.
Yeah, basically they're running. They're trying to. Okay, so the Empire is coming and is blowing up everything.
Blowing up everything in this town in Jakku. They're doing an airstrike. And they say,
Rey and Finn are running towards a ship.
Rey and Finn are running away, and Finn's like, what? No, not the quadhopper. What about that one? And she's like, "No, it's a piece of junk." And then the quadhopper the ship they're going to gets blown up, and it's like, "Okay, piece of junk." They turn around, you see the Millennium Falcon, and you think, "Oh, they'll run in, and then Han and Chewie will be there or something." Nope, it's completely abandoned because a couple of people have stolen it from Han and Chewie.
Quite a few people. A series of people have stolen it from everyone else.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was just like, "Oh, it's brilliant." I think I actually went, "Ah!"
You did.
I made a sort of crowing noise. I was so happy.
A fangirl squeal.
A fangirl squeal.
Which is very nice. And yeah, it's really good fun. Like all the graphics on the turrets are the same, and everything's really good. As we said before, production design, everything's lovely. And yeah, it's really good fun. Like some of the maneuvers they do. Like the dead stop, like the handbrake turn with the dead stop, and the turning it around on a dime and then blasting the TIE fighter.
Yeah, basically the guns get shot and damaged, and they're stuck facing downwards. So Rey just kind of has to make this move up so that she lines up the gun, which is basically pointing downwards. So she basically has to stall the engine, turn the engine off. The Millennium Falcon kind of shifts. It lines up with the TIE fighter, and it's boom.
Yeah. Okay, what else is there to talk about?
And so then they're in the Millennium Falcon. They go up into space.
And then we meet Han and Chewie when we didn't expect it.
Han and Chewie come in and we're home.
And they are home. And they've been running their own sort of little operation on this little freighter.
They've been Han Solo and Chewbacca. They're up to their old tricks.
Yeah, up to their old tricks because of, it's implied, because of what happened to Ben, Han's son. You know, but Han went running back to his smuggler ways and that sort of thing, and Leia went running right back into leading a resistance. She might have been running it the whole time for all I know, but basically they both went back to what they knew.
Yeah. And
didn't deal.
No.
Which is really cool.
And then we have them going to see I don't know her name.
Mars Kaneda.
Orange Lady.
Yeah, Orange Lady. I mean, the character name might not be right. I think it's Mars Kaneda. Orange Lady with goggles. She was quite cool.
I liked her because there are 3 CGI characters.
Sort of motion capture people.
She was the only one I liked.
Can I talk about the one I have a problem with? Supreme Leader Snoke, a.k.a. the big guy in the chair who
I thought was actually genuinely that big for a while. I was like, how are they gonna fight him if he's like, because you kind of come in and he's in this huge throne room and it's actually a hologram, but it's not made clear. There are none of the characteristic jumps in it. Obviously they want to show that technology has improved, but I genuinely thought he was that big. And I just kept thinking, like, they're going to have to get, like, 100 Jedi to take him on.
Because it's not like...
he's, like, 20 foot tall.
Because it's not like when the Emperor used to just, have some FaceTime with Vader when it was just his face and he was talking and you were like, oh, okay, that's fine.
It's a chair.
Yeah, it's a chair and everything. It's like,
It's Skype.
It is.
It's like space Skype.
Yeah, it's like the hologram technology has really moved on. And he doesn't, I don't think he works. But then I've only seen him in a limited capacity, so I'm hoping that in episode 8 he'll look a bit better. I think he'll look a bit better.
He's the one Andy Serkis, isn't he?
He is.
I just want to see Andy Serkis. I just want to see Andy Serkis. Obviously, they've got a plan. Yeah, I trust them. After seeing this movie, I trust them. And it's a nitpick. I didn't like the CGI of the bad guy. Oh my god, that's awful. No, it's not. Doesn't matter. He's in, 3 scenes?
If that.
Bellowing orders.
Yeah, well, not bellowing, he's just, calculating. He's sneering all this. Bring Kylo Ren
to complete his training.
Yeah, which is really funny, right? Because he's like, bring Kylo Ren to me to complete his training. So wait, he's been running around half-trained, leading your Knights of Ren for this entire time?
Well, Luke was running around half-trained. And he took on Vader. And lived.
You'd think they might have learned something. It's a little different. Okay, another character who gets a short shrift is Captain Phasma, played by Gwendolyn Christie, a.k.a. Brienne of Tarth.
Oh my god.
So the person...
That's her!
So the person...
Sorry, I was thinking, I kept expecting to see... I kind of forgot who was in this movie until they popped up. That was who she was!
The person in the chrome armour with the funky cape who you're like, oh yeah, cool, Boba Fett style, is used a lot like Boba Fett in the original trilogy, and they look really cool.
They don't do much.
And so but to be fair...
She ended up in a garbage compactor.
Possibly. But to be fair, she got sort of attacked by Chewie, so you weren't really going to win that fight.
I think she'll be back.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
I think because okay, we'll get to that point. We'll get to that point later on what happens to the planet blowing up and all that. So they go to see the little orange lady. Orange lady kind of rumbles Finn.
Yeah.
Shakes his confidence. He's going to go off and run away.
Go off with the drifters, go to the Outer Rim and run from everything.
You see, I wondered if they were going to do that and then he'd get his own spin-off movie at like Tatooine or something and he becomes a Jedi there or something. But no, it didn't happen. He's in the movie still, so, lol. And then Rey hears crying? A child crying? Her crying. See, I thought that was a trap. Because you see, there's a robot that sends a message to the Resistance.
He walks off and sends a message to the First Order, telling them the droid's there.
Yeah, so I thought that was a trap. So I felt really tense when that happened because I was expecting Kylo Ren to just sort of pop out and like, vroom. But no, and then she finds Luke's lightsaber,
original lightsaber, in a chest, which is kind of glossed over, never really explained. But then, nor should it be, because honestly, trying to explain how they got that lightsaber back. Fanboys would have gone to the Cloud Planet and retrieved it. Which essentially, actually, in the I'm going to go back to that old expanded universe stuff that's now no longer canon. The Emperor.
Pause to snore.
Indeed, yep. Pause to snore if you're not interested. The Emperor found it originally.
Oh, there you go.
And hid it in one of his storerooms.
There you go. That's what happened then.
So,
I didn't even think of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
So she finds the lightsaber, gets it out of her chest, holds it, and then has the vision that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so she sees the rain and Kylo Ren's freaks and runs.
So like the big moment when, you're just thinking, oh yeah, she's going to be handed the lightsaber, and that's the moment we've seen from the trailer where the woman hands over the lightsaber and she takes it. No,
she runs away.
Shot purely for the trailer, I suspect, that moment.
I think that...
Yeah, shot for the trailer.
I thought that was Leia's hands. I thought it was Carrie Fisher's hands in the trailer.
Who knows? Anyway, so she runs to the forest and
so you've got a splitting of ways.
Yeah, a brief splitting way.
Then
BB-8 comes after her and she's don't worry about it. And then of course First Order turns up, blows everything up, and so Hannah and Chewie are like, right, we will get back in this. Because, Mars gave Hannah talking to you saying, just get back in the fight because it's where you should be anyway and go back and see Leia and that's what you should do. Because he's trying to avoid his responsibilities even when he's talking to her. He's like, you take the droid to Leia and get the map of...
He doesn't want to face what's happened with their son.
No, at all. And has indeed been running from it, as we mentioned earlier. But then the Empire turns up and so they all have a big fight and stuff and Rey's in the woods fighting and then she meets Kylo Ren and he kind of takes her to school and knocks her out. And Finn goes back and gets given a Luke's lightsaber and runs around taking down people. And I loved the fight between him and the Stormtrooper.
That was good.
With the funky club mace thing.
It's kind of like... It's almost like a combination of a very large gun and those stupid robots that they had in the third movie with the purple...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of this time I watched it. I was thinking it's a lot like those staves, except that they're made a bit bigger, kind of like riot shields.
So I have forgotten to mention something. Like Kylo Ren's powers are cool. Like he stops an energy bolt. Like Poe shoots him in the face, and he stops it
in midair and just holds it there whilst he's having this conversation, and then walks off, and then it hits something. It's really good.
And he can stop people instantly, and he doesn't have to hold his hand, and he obviously isn't putting effort into it. He can just be like, stop, and they can't move. And then he makes Rey. It did kind of make me laugh a little bit because he's got Rey in his powers. He sees in her mind that she's seen the map, so he thinks, I'll pull it out of her head.
And it doesn't work out.
And he just snaps, and she's down. She's asleep.
Yeah, she's unconscious. It's really funny.
3, 2, 1. You're back in the room. It just made me think a little bit of that. So then you have Finn sees Rey being carried off by Kylo Ren,
and does the traditional amazing Star Wars sort of.
Run.
No! It just runs.
But it makes it work.
Yeah.
It's not a stupid no. It's him actually going no, and it feels really genuine.
Because he really does like her. It's very nice.
We'll come to speculation for the future at the end.
Yes.
And then they decide. I loved how quickly they came up with their plan, where they were like, okay, so there's this new big Death Star. That's not the Death Star. It's called the Star. Star Destroyer.
The Star Killer. It's called Star Killer Base, which is a
Star Killer Base,
which is an in-joke to the fact that Luke Skywalker was originally going to be called Star Killer.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
that. So
it basically eats stars. It basically eats stars.
It eats a sun. It takes energy from the sun it's in the system to, and then blasts across the galaxy to blow stuff up. Which. Well, the interesting thing was they've blown up the seat of the Republic, which I think is a nice sly wink to people who don't like the prequels, saying, if you don't like politics and stuff like that from the prequels, don't worry about it because we've just blown up the place where the politics take place.
The Senate's gone now.
But it was interesting
Very clever.
in that I didn't notice this the first time I watched it, but this time when I watched it, it's not Coruscant they've blown up, it's somewhere else.
No, I was looking at that and I thought, that's not Coruscant. I just assumed that Coruscant just got so bored it just blew up.
Possibly.
It just imploded in its own boringness.
It's highly likely.
We need to talk about Carrie Fisher, don't we?
Yeah, because we kind of skipped over her. Carrie Fisher, the Resistance turns up while the First Order has turned up, and they have a nice fight and a nice set to, and that's when Poe Dameron comes back in and blows everything up.
And it's just like A New Hope. The boards are the same, the wall displays, people talking and all of that.
Oh, yeah. The whole sort of setup is just... and a lot of the same characters, too. Like Admiral Akbar's there.
Yeah!
He doesn't say it's a trap.
He will.
But, I mean...
He will.
Admiral Akbar breakfast cereal, people. Your taste buds can't repel flavour of that magnitude.
Robot chicken quote.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I really liked, I thought she looked brilliant. I was like, oh, it's just so good to see her. Her voice sounds so deep.
And she is, you can tell she's having fun. You can tell they're having fun.
Oh, it's so sweet. And they talk about their son and how they feel they've let him down.
And they should bring him back.
Yeah, and she's like, bring him back. And I'm like, don't do that, Leia. We know where this is going. If you see him run. That should have been the advice.
So, yeah, and...
So they all basically, they decide they're going to go back to the base. It's like, it's a plan made in 2 minutes. They're like, okay, so this base, it's a planet, it's going to eat a stun, and it's going to destroy our planet that we're on now. They're targeting at us. Okay, right. How do we stop it? How do we blow it up? What do we do?
And then Finn's like, well, okay, look, if you aim at that thing, the thermal oscillator, you can blow it up.
It'll blow it up. Because that keeps it regulated, so it stops it from exploding because of the power of the star that it's just absorbed, basically.
And then, Han's like, well, what else can we do, And then they come up with the idea of taking down the shields. And then Finn's like, yeah, I can do that. He's lying. He can't do that at all. He just wants to go there and help get Rey. And he's just going to hope he can make things up on the fly. Which leads to one of the funnier lines of the film.
Oh, my God. We can use the Force. Can't we just use the Force to work it out?
So it's something like, come on, don't worry about it. I mean, we'll just use the Force. And then Han's like, the Force doesn't work like that.
And then Chewie, in the best back-to-back joke ever, goes... And
then Han's like, oh, you're cold.
You're cold. It's just... I was like, oh, JJ!
Yeah, or rather,
big hugs.
Or rather, Lawrence Kasdan, because
big hugs to them all. I owe them all hugs.
Yep.
And yeah, so they go down. It turns out that Finn was actually a sanitation worker.
Was on sanitation before he rotated into the regular stormtrooper.
It's just great. So we can clean your toilets. Hilarious.
Stormtroopers have to do these things,
I know. You've got to think of the Eddie Izzard sketch with the Death Star canteen.
Because there must have been one, and So they're doing that. Meanwhile, Rey has managed to
basically
resist the torture. Yeah,
she's force slapped him back,
which is one of the
and made him take his mask off.
Yeah, that as well. And then she decides to experiment using the Force on a stormtrooper. Now, here's an interesting behind-the-scenes tidbit. That stormtrooper is played by none other than Daniel Craig.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's Daniel Craig.
Shut up. Okay, we're watching that again. We are. What was James Bond doing on set?
It's Pinewood. It's where they shoot the James Bond films.
Oh my God, that is amazing. I want to go see it now again. That's hilarious. But anyway, so basically she's kind of like, she starts realising that she's got these abilities. Because I think she starts to feel her mind going a bit wibbly with him and also stiffing her.
And also because Mars told her earlier when she picked up the lightsaber that she had the Force within her, that she could, that even though Mars herself can't feel the Force, she can tell when, she meets other people that can. And that she had that reaction to the lightsaber means that she does. So she starts experimenting and she decides to try and mind trick the stormtrooper. Yeah. And it doesn't go well the first time, and then she keeps repeating the words, and then eventually it works out.
Yeah, and it's so funny. And then as he's going out, he's released her bonds, he says, I'm now going to walk out and leave the door open. And she just goes, and you'll leave your gun. And I'll leave my gun. And the gun just goes down on the floor, and you're like, ah!
And so then she makes her own way around the base, and she's escaping on her own pretty well.
She's not been rescued.
No.
She rescued herself.
Yeah.
Yay!
Meanwhile, Han and Chewie and Finn are running around and they take out Captain Phasma, aka Brienne of Tarth. Not a good time for her. And
another person who I hope is being saved.
I'm sure she is.
And they make this good link to the old. This is where again it works. The little homage is going, do you have a garbage chute? Maybe a
trash compactor? And Finn's like, yeah, we have one of them. And then it cuts away, so we don't ever see them bodily put her down a trash compactor.
I bet she's in this. I bet it's like friggin' explosion proof. This
probably
garbage thing.
Kind of like a. Yeah, never mind. And so the X-Wings are attacking, fun things are happening, and then dogfights, TIE fighters, all good stuff.
And then they're in the shield generator. They're setting up the detonators.
They're cutting and running because they bumped into Rey. And then Han's like, well, we got a load of explosives with us. Let's go help them out.
Yeah.
So they go to help him out, and Han and Chewie go in by themselves, and they're like, okay, let's split up and we'll meet back here. You take the lower part, I'll take the upper part. Okay. And then Kylo Ren, because instantly knows when Han Solo's landed on the planet anyway with the Force, is then like, okay, I'm going to go and bring my contingent of stormtroopers along, and he's striding around, and the stormtroopers are searching for Han and Chewie, and then Han just sees him and goes out and talks to him on a walkway. And
I knew exactly which way it was going to go. I didn't want it to happen.
And he tries to talk him down, and he's like, "Look, son, just come home with us. Come on, Ben. Which is, I think, is that the first or only time that his name is used? I think it probably is.
Yeah, it's the only time.
And
it's broken when he says it. It's broken. His voice.
Yeah.
Ben. Oh.
And but he takes off his mask.
And he's saying how he just goes, I feel torn in two, basically.
Yeah, and Ben's like, I feel torn in two. I don't know what to do. I'm so glad you're here. Will you help me?
And he goes, will you do something for me? And he goes, anything.
And then he turns it on and stabs Han Solo, and Han Solo dies and falls.
But before he dies, what does he do? What's his last action?
He touches his son very tenderly on the cheek.
Making me well up. It was so sad. But I think the thing was, I knew it was coming.
I think, well, we both did, because we both said as soon as
we found out he was a main character in it, I was like, he's only going to be in one. So he's going to have to be killed off.
And then, Chewie, it's brilliant. Goes
Chewie!
Nuts. Rey and Finn, who've been watching from the upper walkway, are like, oh my god, and they start trying to help out Chewie, and Chewie escapes, blows the place up.
Hence the detonator shot from the second trailer.
Yeah, and then, they get out.
Rey and Finn are running in the snow.
And they're getting to the Falcon, and then who should turn up but Kylo Ren, a.k.a. Ben. He's like, well, we're not finished yet. And
Rey starts shooting at him.
Trying. She goes to try and shoot at him, but then he picks her up with the Force and chucks her at a tree. And so she's knocked out, and Finn's like, oh my god, Rey, and he runs over, and works out she's unconscious, gets massively pissed off, and Ren says, Ren? I don't know what to call him. I'll call him Ben. Ben says, come on, traitor. And so they have a really good, really gritty, really sort of
angry. He's
fight.
Angry.
Yeah, Finn is
angry, but
Finn's angry, and Ben's sort of controlled but angry too, because you get the sense that he's really bought into First Order stuff and doesn't like the idea of stormtroopers getting away with this sort of thing. And
he should know his place.
And Finn does really well, actually.
Considering he's had no training, and I don't think he has the Force.
No, I don't
think he's gifted with the Force. He does very well, but he ends up with he loses his lightsaber and he's unconscious, and he's got huge slashes.
He's been stabbed sort of through the shoulder and slashed on the back.
Oh, using the
the cross guard.
The cross guard. The cross guard goes in his shoulder, because I was looking at him and thinking, I know exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have a thing where you've got the two together. He's going to turn it and dig it in. So I was like, I don't know why people were getting angry about things being chopped off.
Yeah. So Finn's down and out for the count. And then the lightsaber's over there.
In the snow. Great nod to Empire.
And then it starts twitching, and Ben's wanting the lightsaber, and then it flicks back through the air. And when I
hits him. It almost hits him.
Almost hits him, and he dodges it. And when I first saw that, the first time I saw this film, I thought, oh, Luke Skywalker's going to show up and own him in the face.
No.
Didn't happen.
No, I knew it wouldn't be Luke.
Didn't happen. That's quite sad.
And then
I forgot.
Rey has it. Rey has it in her hand. So what were you going to say?
The moment when Han dies, and when Leia does the sitting down, because she's felt his death through the Force.
Do you know, I wondered if she felt his death and she felt the reaction of her son. I think it's both.
Probably both. And then...
that is beautiful. That is
really good.
That's a kind of... almost like a Yoda nod. I really liked that.
And... yeah. So anyway.
And then Rey has the lightsaber.
Soaring of the music,
Oh.
And then it's on. Like Donkey Kong.
It is on, and she's really doing amazing. I'm like, you gotta be someone's kid. You've gotta be someone important's kid.
Or just really gifted, naturally gifted.
Oh my god, I've just had a thought.
Oh yeah?
It's really quite left field.
Uh-huh.
Did the Emperor ever have a child?
No. Well, not that we know of. But she's... no. No one
powerful with the Force?
Yeah, but he's not that powerful. He's just sneaky and clever. That's why he always has Vader and people to do his dirty work, because he's not that powerful.
Apart from when he beats Yoda.
Oh, he didn't beat him. Didn't beat him. It was a draw.
And the lightning?
What about the lightning? Yoda could absorb all that lightning all the live long day if he wanted to. and he did. It was just...
I don't know. She's someone's kid. She's someone's kid. She's someone's and there's this brilliant moment because the planet's like breaking up, so they're kind of at a precipice, and you're like, oh god.
And she's
lightsaber against lightsaber. She's got her back to the fall there,
and she wins, and she has him on the ropes basically.
She has a moment where she has a quiet moment because he's offering her, "I will train you. I will train you in the ways of the Force."
And then she remembers like the Force, and then closes her eyes. And then when she opens them, it's like she's renewed and she's found her center and she's properly in touch with the Force. And so, she's won, and, she might show mercy, she might not, but then the decision's taken out of her hands by a convenient crevice. It is. It really is. That's what it is.
It's for the convenience of the plot, there is a crevice that literally separates them.
Because he's got to come back in parts 8 and 9. And then...
Yeah, because I was worried about how they were going to finish it, because I was like, neither of them are backing down.
Yeah. And then the Falcon finds Rey and Finn, and they take them back to base, and at this point, the most convenient thing happens. Early on, when they went to the Resistance, they found R2-D2, and we were told that he'd been in sort of low power mode ever since Luke disappeared. And suddenly, spontaneously, R2 comes out of this low power mode at exactly this moment, and delivers the fact that, yes, I've had the rest of the map in my system the entire time. And just turns himself on and does it.
I mean, it is a bit convenient, but...
And you are...
It's also a bit convenient that BB-8 was rescued by Rey. It's very convenient that Finn happened to be there. I don't think you want to start thinking about conveniences.
Not too much. And besides, you can always say, it's the will of the Force.
There you go. And there's...
whatever you want to say.
There's a brilliant moment where there's this doctor talking to Chewbacca.
Also, if I'm going to be like...
And she's going like, yes. And it's brilliant. He's like going, because he's got injured in his arm. And she goes, yes, I'm sure they were very terrifying.
And it's like, yes,
you were very brave. And it was like a little kid. It was adorable.
And that's Dame Harriet Walters. Yep, good times.
And then we kind of have Finn's kind of in a coma. And Rey says goodbye to him.
And kisses him on the forehead. And says, I know we'll meet again.
And her and Chewie
go off in the Falcon
with R2-D2
to find Luke. And you think, well, maybe it'll end here, with everyone waving goodbye to the Falcon, traditional Empire Strikes Back thing. But no, it goes on for like another 10 minutes. And they go into hyperspace and they fly away and they end up flying over this ocean towards these lovely islands, which, hey, film location fans, it's just off the coast of Ireland, on a lovely island called Skegnile or something. And they land the Falcon, and Chewie and R2 stay there, and she just sort of starts walking up all these lovely stone steps, and she gets right to the top of this sort of cliff face, and there is a man standing there
with his
back to us all,
with a cape and a hood,
looking rather Obi-Wan Kenobi-esque, and he turns around,
really,
and he's got a beard and everything, and ladies and gentlemen, it's Mark Hamill, and in the words of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, applause! Because that's what you do when Mark Hamill appears on screen. And he takes off his hood, and they look at each other, and she pulls out his original lightsaber from her pouch, goes to hand it over to him. We freeze, we have a long sort of helicopter shot of them staring at each other, and the film ends.
Because that is the one thing I would want to change. Like, there are flaws. There's one thing I'd want to change, is that I wish that there was the spinny shot I liked, but I don't think it was the best one to finish on.
I agree.
Like, I think it's always ended on a stationary shot. And I think that would have worked better, because there's this beautiful shot where you have Mark Hamill turned around with the sea behind him, this huge expanse of green grass, like a big hill behind them, and then Rey on the edge of the shot. And I thought you could have just ended it with those two just looking at each other. I don't think you needed even the lightsaber out. I think you could have just had the two of them looking at each other.
Yeah.
And then like the spinning shot, I don't think. But do you know what? I still don't care. I don't care. I am so happy. I want to see it again. I want to see Daniel Craig being force mind controlled.
That's pretty
now
funny,
that I know it's Brie of Tarth, I will respect her more.
Yeah. So don't worry, we'll go see it again. I mean, when will we get? Monday, Tuesday,
tomorrow.
We do it tomorrow because we got those back tomorrow.
Okay. No, it's January.
We can go tomorrow.
We can go tomorrow.
Okay.
I just
deal.
just fantastic. Like, I'm trying to think if there's anything we've forgotten. That probably we have.
Well, I mean, we didn't do it. We nearly did a scene by scene breakdown. We didn't quite. But yeah, it's
Everyone's amazing.
Everyone is amazing.
There's no bad acting that I can think of. Even the extras.
No, not at all. If I have a problem with it, and it's only a personal thing, is that there isn't enough Luke Skywalker, but I understand why that is, because they're holding him back for Episode 8. Because he's probably going to be doing a similar job as Harrison Ford was doing in this one, and he might even die. Like, one of the things...
Should we talk about predictions, then?
Might as well. So, I reckon either the next film will start as soon as this one ended, and we'll see them talking. And we'll see them talking. Or... they'll pick up a couple of years later and she'll be training.
I want to hear that conversation when she introduces herself and explains Han Solo's died.
Well, he'll probably have already felt it, but yeah.
Not necessarily. Not if he's cut himself off.
But they were quite close. I think he probably, you can keep an eye on things as a giant. I mean, Yoda and stuff, he kept an eye on Luke even when he wasn't there.
Yeah, but he might not want to have kept an eye on it.
That's true. Okay, so theories.
I don't think Finn and Rey will end up together. I don't think they'll be played as a couple. I think they'll be done as friends.
Cool.
And I think it's going to be either a new character or Poe.
Well, probably Poe then. Don't really have time to introduce.
I don't know. Like they really like each other though. But I've got a feeling it's not going to be. Like, she rejects when he holds her hand. So I'm just a bit like, I'm not sure. I think it'd be great if they were a couple. I think they'd be a brilliant couple, but I don't think they will.
I think they probably will. Probably. I'm not entirely sure. But
unless they go for another love triangle between Poe, Finn and Rey.
Can we just have one modern movie franchise without a love triangle?
But the original had one.
I know it did, but that was then.
The prequels didn't.
And this is now.
I don't know. I think it's going to be less straightforward.
No.
I don't think it's going to be straightforward at all.
You see, if there's one thing I wouldn't want them to try, I don't think you should do another love triangle. I think you should just... Because people have enough love triangles in their movies. I don't think you need another one.
These ones have lightsabers.
But these ones do have lightsabers, which makes everything better.
So where do you think they're going to go with Kylo Ren? He's killed his dad now. I think he's definitely on the path to... being very evil.
Well, he was kind of already there. The thing of it is, he'll get trained more by Snoke. Presumably, if what you say is true, because I honestly didn't look that closely at his face after she slapped it.
I think there was a proper. There's a proper slash from all the way from the forehead down to the cheek at least.
Okay, and if there is that, then he'll probably get a nice fun. He'll probably have the same costume because that doesn't really affect anything. But he'll definitely get sort of more powers and a bit more evil and that sort of thing. I don't know if he'll kill Leia, but he might. I think they might kill them all the originals. It's grim, but they might.
I don't think they will.
Oh, really?
I think they'll kill any of the original cast.
What? No, you think it's a one-time deal? You don't think they'll do it movie by movie?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I think Carrie Fisher will always be in the control room in the background. I think Mark Hamill will be a lot more prominent in the next one, but
I hope he doesn't die because I really like Luke Skywalker.
I don't know what they're going to do. There's so many ways they could handle it. It could be that he comes in and he's gotten over it, which would be a bit boring. I think what's going to happen is
he's
going to need a movie just to get his head together.
Well, him training Rey will bring him out of it, but he'll be obstinate about it at first and won't want to do it. But she'll bring him out of it and reinvigorate him. And then
I want to see that. I don't want to jump to a couple of years in the future. I want to see that. I want to see her breaking down those walls because he looks. He looks crushed at the end of it. He looks like I wonder if maybe they'll have it that one of his sons
was one of the ones that was killed.
Was one of the Jedi that Kylo Ren killed.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And then that would be interesting because Luke's dabbled with using his anger.
Yes, he has.
To fight. If it's him against Kylo Ren, and although it's his nephew, he's now killed his best friend and his son, possibly, if that's the storyline they go for. It could be that he taps into his anger.
Again, which might actually be why he cut himself off in the first place, because he didn't want to do that and he was in danger of doing so.
This is all theory, and we don't know.
Yeah, this is all theories, and he knows the risks of that. Because there was an arc in the comics where he turned to the dark side and joined the Emperor and that sort of thing. Where they did a story where the Emperor had clone bodies that he just moved his soul into effectively, and then just came back as a younger version of himself. And Luke went to the dark side and dabbled, and he just went there to sort of learn and try and get a handle on it. But then he ended up falling and all that kind of stuff. Called Dark Empire. It's very good if you ever get a chance to read it. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. Yeah. I mean,
think
so Luke could do that.
Poe, I think, will have a lot more to do.
I hope so, because he was really good in this.
He was very good. I'd like to see him having more to do. Hopefully, Silver Stormtrooper Lady. I want her to have some more to do.
Captain Phasma.
Great name. I hope Chewie. Chewie's got beef now.
Yes.
Because I had this awful moment. Because I did really honestly think Han Solo is going to die. I had this awful moment when you saw the two of them split up, and I thought, they're not going to kill Chewie, are they?
They killed him in the books.
Did they?
Yeah, they did a story
him being killed. I could see them doing. I don't think they'll do it with Leia. I don't think they'll do it with Luke. But yeah, they could kill Chewie.
Yeah, they did a rather famous run of books called the New Jedi Order, which was set about 25 years after Return of the Jedi. And in the first book, they had him save Han's younger son, but and save a whole bunch of people on this planet. But in the process, a moon got dropped on the planet and destroyed it, and he died, like yelling, roaring at the moon. And it was the last image Han saw of him. He was just there, he was there standing there, like roaring at the moon, and it's really well done. It's the last thing Han sees, and then after that, like Han goes completely off the deep end, and just can't get back into the fight because they're fighting these aliens or whatever, and Han just like goes off the deep end and just goes around getting drunk and things for like 3 or 4 books before he gets his act together, because he cuts himself off from his family, and it's just
they're in bad shape.
What, with Han dead, you mean?
Mm.
Yeah, I think everyone's taken a knock. Certainly. So I understand what you say about it being sort of like Empire from that perspective, but I think it's definitely more A New Hope than anything else.
So I think it's equal of both. I think
Mm.
I think there's enough shares of each.
What else?
What do you think they're going to do with Finn? I don't think they're going to make him a Jedi.
No. But I think he'll just be like in the Resistance, in the thick of it.
The new Han Solo? The new guy with the blaster?
Possibly.
And the clever plan?
Possibly the new guy with the blaster and the clever plan and the funny one. Because Poe's definitely more like Wedge Antilles than anyone.
Mm. I'd love if it turned out he was his son.
What, Wedge Antilles? No, there's a... I don't think he's meant to be. There's a book that explains a comic book by Greg Rucka that explains his origins that I want to get. Yeah. So... Yeah, theories about Poe. I mean, I think Poe will just be doing his thing, but they'll definitely include him in more of the action sequences, and hopefully we'll have him for the whole movie next time. If he's not too busy being Apocalypse and doing other things. But I don't think he is now. So I think we're fine on that front.
What about the big bad?
Well, I mean...
I think we'll meet him. I think we'll meet him.
Oh, meeting Supreme Leader Snoke. Snooky. We could call him Snooky from
Snooky Ookums.
Snooky Ookums.
Snooky Ookums. I want to see more from him.
I think we will, because I think we have to.
I want to see more from Snooky.
Well, unless they do the whole Emperor Palpatine thing from the original trilogy, where you only really see him in the last one.
I wouldn't complain, to be honest, but I think he'll be more seen.
Yeah.
In the next one.
Definitely, if you have Luke coming back, I think you have to have a confrontation between him and Luke.
At some point, but probably not till the last one.
Mm.
To be honest, I don't think Luke's going to be involved in any final conflict.
I want him in a fight, though. I want to see...
You can have him in a fight. He will probably be up against Kylo Ren. But I think it's going to be Rey.
Yeah, no, it probably will be. I just want to see Luke in a funky fight where he's like a Jedi Master and he can do everything and like take everyone down.
I think it's going to be him versus Kylo Ren. I mean, the original trilogy was about the saving of Darth Vader's soul, basically.
And this is
through the eyes of Luke Skywalker.
And this is sort of positioned to be the saving of what, Kylo Ren or Ben's?
Do you want? I'll be honest. Do you want me to be honest?
Well, I prefer it, yeah.
I don't think they're going to do that at all. I don't think he is going to be saved. I think it's going to be him getting worse and worse and worse, and eventually one of them having to kill him.
That'd be good, because that's happened. Happened before.
I don't think this is not this doesn't have the smell of a redemption arc to it to me.
No.
This is the downward spiral.
Yeah.
Of someone who's just had a taste of evil and likes it.
Yeah, and didn't
killed his own dad.
Yeah, killed his own dad. Threw away an opportunity to actually do some good and be a Jedi and that sort of thing, and has to live with it and can't live with it and has trouble with it, and then kills his dad in an attempt to reconcile it and prove that he can do it, but he can't. Maybe. Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be an interesting sort of mirror.
I don't think at the end of it he's going to be.
It would be a fun subversion too.
Yeah.
Because
everyone's expecting him to be saved by the end, but if Han Solo can't get through to him, Leia won't be able to. Luke won't be able to. Rey might have been able to, but she just cut him in the face. So why would he listen? There's no one else.
Yeah.
There's no one else. I really do think he's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse.
And I mean, it's.
And I think the final movie will be the final confrontation, and I think he'll be killed.
Yeah, similar to what happened to his sort of literary counterpart from the Star Wars books, who turned to the dark side and ended up being killed for it.
Yeah. Because if he'd started out evil already, like fully formed like Darth Vader, I'd have been like, yeah, no, he's going to have a redemption arc. But he was just on the knife's edge of a potentially... One way or the other. Yeah, one way or the other. And now I think he's committed himself.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So the big questions is, who is Rey? Whose daughter is she?
Yes, as Mars herself says in the scene in the bar, who is the girl? What's the deal with the girl?
I think whatever it is, it's going to be unexpected. Whoever's daughter.
I think random Jedi daughter. Probably.
No, I think it's going to be someone
known.
Someone known. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, it could be. It could be that it's no one. It could be that it's just no one. But I think we're going to see the rest of her flashback at some point.
That'd be nice.
It might be maybe the second movie, maybe the third. I don't know.
Probably the third, if you want to keep the original trilogy sort of symmetry.
Because I did have a thought when they were fighting in the snow, her and Kylo Ren. I thought, maybe they're brother and sister. And I thought, no, they've done it before. They're not going to do brother and sister.
No, they're not.
They're not. I don't even think they do cousins, so I don't think she's Luke's daughter.
I would sort of agree.
So very... Just,
There you go, a lot to think about, a lot to unpack.
A lot to think about.
Go see it twice.
Go see it twice. We're going to see it more than twice.
Well, we are, yeah.
You have, yeah, already.
I've seen it twice. I haven't seen it.
I need to see it more than twice. I haven't seen
it more than twice.
I need to see it more than twice.
Yeah, so there you go.
So yeah, basically the minutest of nitpicks.
What, from me?
From both of us, really.
Of us. Yeah.
I mean, for me to complain about a specific shot, like, come on, that's like... That's
small potatoes when you think about it.
I mean, think about the prequels, all the beef I have against the prequels, which comes down to kind of the script, the characters, the way they're handled, the things they say. Those are major problems. A single shot not being the shot I want, that is small potatoes.
And for me, it was just sort of the look of Snoke, which I'm not entirely sure about. But then again, you only see him in like a couple of scenes, and it's only big hologram chair stuff, so he might look better.
He might look better. And it's Andy Serkis, so we have faith. We have faith in Gollum.
We all have faith in Mr. Serkis.
So yeah, I mean, literally, it was like not even like an hour ago when we did the first review. I am still wholeheartedly 5 out of 5. You were teetering. Are you going to say you're 4.5?
I'm going to stick to I have to stick to my original rating. I can't flip flop. May the Force be with you.
Indeed, that's very good. Perhaps end. May the Force be with you.